आज हम इस लेक्चर में स्टडी करेंगे एक बहुत ही बेसिक टॉपिक है ऑब्स्टेटिक्स का, हिस्ट्री टेकिंग इन ऑब्स्टेटिक्स. दिस लेक्चर इज beneficial for those MBBS students, those who have just finished MBBS part 1 first year and they have entered the second MBBS and they are supposed to go to clinics, okay, and in different clinical subjects like in medicine, in surgery and in obstetrics and in pediatrics. So I will be covering this history taking in obstetrics. This is very much basic thing. What you will ask to your patient, how will you elicit the history, what are the few points that you have to focus more on and which you are not supposed to miss and why they are important. So everything regarding this history taking, the history taking is covered in this lecture. The first point that we will ask to anyone we come across is their vital statistics. Number one is vital statistics, their vital information. This includes whenever we come across someone whom we don't know, we ask what's their name. Okay, number one is name. Why do we need this name? Because that person is not XYZ. When we will tell about her complaints to the examiner, we will not be saying this woman, this woman, this woman. Okay, and also we should be aware about the name of the patient, and this name is also important to build a rapport with the patient. Like when you will be asking her next few questions, you will ask by naming her. Okay, like if her name is Sunita, okay, then we can ask Sunita कहाँ रहती हो, या सुनीता तुम्हें क्या तकलीफ है या क्या परेशानी है. इससे पेशेंट का आपके ऊपर एक विश्वास बढ़ता है, इसलिए नेम इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. ओके, नाउ द नंबर 2 इज हर एज. व्हाट इज हर एज? एज इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. Number 1, you will, if she is a teenager, she will be a teenage pregnancy, which is considered high risk pregnancy. Okay, and if she is more than 35 years age, she will be elderly gravida. So these two things make her high risk. So by knowing her age, if she is between this teenage and more than 35, then she is a low risk pregnancy. If she is a teenager, it becomes a high risk pregnancy, and if she is more than 35 years, it becomes a high risk pregnancy. So age is important. Also, age is important when she is pregnant and she is less than 18 years. Okay, if she is pregnant and she is less than 18 years, that means this is less than 18 years, so it may also amount to be medico-legal importance. It has medico-legal importance. So why this teenage pregnancy is important? Teenage pregnancy is nowadays very common because of more westernization in our country. We come across many teenage pregnancies during the clinical practice. Also, teenage pregnancy is high risk because there is lack in their nutrition. Number 2, they are high risk for having preeclampsia, and they are high risk for having preterm labor also. So teenage pregnancies, to confirm this, we need age. So this is the importance of age in our history taking. Now third thing is address. Where do they live? How far it is from your hospital, or how far any medical facility is from her residence. Suppose she is living in a far area जिसके 50-60 किलोमीटर तक कोई हॉस्पिटल नहीं है. देयर इज नो हॉस्पिटल और एनी मेडिकल फैसिलिटी इन हर 50-60 किलोमीटर विसिनिटी, and suppose she develops antepartum hemorrhage, APH. In this case, you will admit the patient. If she is residing nearby, जहाँ से वो 5, 10, 15, 20 मिनट में हॉस्पिटल आ सकती है, then we may go for home care. So address is important. Now religion. So do we need to ask religion to the person, to the patient? मैं ऐसे पूछूंगी, अच्छा सुनीता तुम किस धर्म की हो? नो. We can get this from her name. Okay. अगर किसी का नाम, if someone's name is पूजा जैन, suppose, okay, is there any need to ask कि पूजा जैन तुम कौन से धर्म की हो? No. Her surname is telling you that she follows Jainism. Okay. Why this religion is important in our history taking, obstetric history taking? Because when we are examining the patient, we are supposed to give her advice after taking history and after examining her pregnancy. So the advice should be realistic to the person concerned. Suppose if a person is Jain and I tell her कि जाओ go and take high protein diet, so go and take eggs. No. Okay. So by religion we come to know about the dietary habit of the woman, so that we can give her proper advice regarding her diet, which is a very important part in antenatal care. Also, some religions they allow marriages among blood relation. So in that case they are called consanguineous marriage, and in that case there are more chances of having birth defects in children, the fetus. So we will have to be more careful in such cases. Now the next thing is occupation. With women empowerment, most of the patients they are working. So what they are working, in which field they are working, how are their work style, their work environment. In that case we have to be aware of. Suppose if a woman is coming from forces, she is pregnant, or she is working in police and she is your patient and she is pregnant, so you will be supposed to advise her night duty excuse. This is very important, especially in occupations where night duty is required. You are supposed to give night duty excuse. So for that we need to know occupation. Also occupation of husband, her occupation as well as occupation of husband. This gives us an idea about her socio-economic status, so that we can give a realistic advice to the woman. Also family planning advice we can give to the person or couple. Now this is the vital information. We need to know name, we need to know age, her address, religion and their occupation of herself and her husband. Now the second part of the obstetric history is obstetric history. This is different from other departments. This is obstetric history. This is very important and you should be very careful while taking this history. Now we give obstetric history in like G, gravida. What is her gravida? What is her parity? P. Then number of live children, L, and number of abortion she has faced. Okay. Now this is gravida, para, living, abortion. So gravida. What is gravida? A gravida is condition of a pregnancy, including present pregnancy as well as her previous pregnancy. Okay. So if a pregnant woman has come to you, that means she is gravid, and If she is second time pregnant, it becomes gravida 2. If she is first time pregnant, then she becomes primigravida. That is a different term. We say primigravida. We don't write G1, we just write down primigravida. When she is first time pregnant, all these things are need not to be asked. Okay, if she says that I am first time pregnant, but in that case, sometimes she is coming to you in 7th or 8th month of a pregnancy, and she says this is my first baby, and you think that she is primigravida. And now you ask what is her married life, what is the duration. She says I am married since 3 years. Then you go in detailed history. Okay, what contraceptive you were using? No contraceptive. So you were not pregnant any time before. Then she says, though I had 2 abortions. So she thinks that the history of 2 abortions is not important, and she says at 7th or 8th month of pregnancy that I am first time pregnant. So you need to be very careful while eliciting this obstetric history. Okay, if she is suppose 7-8 months pregnant, comes to you and says this is my first pregnancy and I am married since 1 year, so it is likely that there are no abortions. But if she is first time pregnant, married since 3 or 4 years or 2 years, and you ask detailed history, you will come to know that she had previous abortions. So this is very important. Even if she says I am first time pregnant, you have to be a little careful to elicit this abortion history. Okay, now this is gravida. This is the pregnancy, present pregnancy, state of present pregnancy and previous pregnancy. Suppose she is third time pregnant, then it becomes gravida 3. Okay, now what is para? Parity. Parity is concerned with the previous pregnancies that has crossed the period of viability, irrespective of what was the outcome of her previous pregnancy. Okay, suppose she has given 1 birth and the baby is fine, and now she is second time pregnant, so she becomes gravida 2 para 1, living 1. Now if she is third time pregnant and her first pregnancy was 7 months, suppose eclampsia, she had eclampsia, baby could not be survived, so it becomes, and the second pregnancy is completed pregnancy with a 2-year-old child, so she becomes para 2, irrespective of the death of the first child. She becomes para 2. Number of times her previous pregnancy has crossed the period of viability. Okay, parity is previous, gravida is including present. Always remember, never confuse. Gravida is whenever she is pregnant. Suppose she becomes pregnant and irrespective of her child fetus, she develops vesicular mole, which is an intrauterine pregnancy. Okay, then also she will be considered gravida. Okay, now gravida, para, parity. Now comes living children. Now there is another example. She is second time pregnant. Okay, gravida 2. Her first pregnancy crossed the period of viability. Para 1, living 2. How is this possible? This is indicates that her first pregnancy was twin pregnancy. She is having 2 children after one pregnancy which has crossed the period of viability. This means her first pregnancy was a twin pregnancy. So this is possible. And few things about these 4 terms: gravida, any including this pregnancy, number of times she has conceived, including present pregnancy. Parity, number of times her previous pregnancies has crossed the period of viability, irrespective of the outcome. Okay, suppose she has 6 months preterm delivery then also she is para 1, living 0. Okay, so parity is her previous pregnancies that has crossed the period of viability. Now living, number of living children she is having. Like I showed you, she was para 1, living 2. That means she has given birth to 2 children at a time after 1 pregnancy. Okay, now suppose G3, P1, P2, L1. Easy. A automatically is 0 if she is G3P2. This is her third pregnancy and previous 2 pregnancies has crossed the period of viability, means that A is automatically 1 and living 1. That means that she has lost a baby, one of her babies in her from her previous 2 pregnancies. Now few terms like nulli para. Nulli para. Nulli means nil, para means parity. That means the woman has never been pregnant. At present she is also not pregnant and in her past she was never pregnant. A woman who has never been pregnant is called nulli para. Okay. Now a woman whose first time pregnant is called primigravida. First time pregnant. Okay, when I am writing primigravida, we will skip all these 3. We will not write G1, P0, L0, A0. No, only primigravida. It is self-explanatory that all her previous parity, living and abortion are nil. Okay, now primipara. Primipara, which means the woman at present she is not pregnant, but in her past she has 1 pregnancy that has crossed the period of viability, irrespective of the outcome of what was the outcome of pregnancy, whether the child is alive or not, means primipara. When I am saying that she is primipara, means she is not pregnant at present. She is not pregnant in present time. Now multigravida. What is multigravida? A woman who is at present pregnant and her pregnancy is not first. This is not her first pregnancy. She is multigravida. What is grand multigravida? If she has given more than, equal to or more than 4 birth in her past is grand multigravida. If she is presently pregnant, she is G5, P4, and grand multipara if she has given birth to 4 or more children in her past. Now what is parturient? अभी यही हम से देख लेते हैं 2 वर्ड्स. Parturient, a woman who is in labor. Woman who is in process of giving birth to a child is called parturient. The process of giving birth is called parturition, and the woman who has recently given birth is called puerpera. Puerpera. So these are the few terms that are important in your obstetric history. Always remember, whenever she has become pregnant, whenever her uterus has conceived anything inside the womb, either a live pregnancy or a blighted ovum or a vesicular womb, irrespective of outcome, she is called gravida. It is called gravida. Number of times she has become pregnant. Just number of times she has become pregnant, and this also includes the present pregnancy. Parity, number of times her previous pregnancies has crossed the period of viability. Okay, this does, if suppose she is coming at 8 months of gestation to you, and she says that I am second time pregnant and my first was a normal live baby. So you will not write G2, P2 because this pregnancy has also crossed the period of viability. No, this parity includes only and only previous pregnancies that has crossed the period of viability. Living, number of living children she is having. One example I have given that she could be para 1 but living 2. This is an example of twin pregnancy. And abortion, the history related to abortion I will be taking in separate lecture, which will be taking causes of abortion and all other aspects of abortion. Now coming to menstrual history. The next part, which history taking, which is different for obstetric cases, but it is important for cases or in general surgery or in medicine also. You should be aware about menstrual history. You should always ask a woman about her LMP. What is the first day? It is asked first day of her last normal menstrual period. Okay, you need to ask this. This is important. By getting this LMP, we can calculate the EDD. What is EDD? Expected date of delivery. We can tell her, okay, this is your expected date of delivery. You are expected to give birth to your child around on this date or around this date. So EDD, it is calculated by Naegele's formula. This formula was given in year 1812, almost more than 2 centuries ago. The formula was given. This is called Naegele's formula. To the LMP, we have taken the word normal. Normal means 28 days cycle. We have to ask her whether she was having a 28 days cycle. If she says yes, we can apply this formula. If she says no, her cycle duration was 35 or she had irregular cycle, we cannot apply this formula. Okay. So the prerequisite to apply this Naegele's formula is that she is having normal menstrual cycle for 28 days interval. Detailed this mechanism and physiology of menstrual periods I will be taking in another class. So Naegele's formula. What is Naegele's formula? To the LMP, first day, we have to take first day because this is easily remembered, first day. And to this first day, we add, what we add? 9 calendar months. 9 calendar months, not lunar months. It's calendar months. January, February, March. Okay. 31 days के जो calendar months होते हैं, we have to add those 9 calendar months plus 7 days. So if we get the LMP, to this LMP we add 9 calendar months and 7 days, we get this EDD. Now taking an example, suppose a woman says her first menstrual period were on 1st Feb 2022. I am taking an example, although a woman who is having her period on 1st Feb 2022 cannot be pregnant at this particular time, but then we will add 9 calendar months. So this is second. We'll add 9 calendar months. तो 2 में हम ऐड करेंगे 9. 2 के बाद 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It comes 111. ओके, 2022. अभी इसमें और क्या रह गया? 7 days. So 1 plus 7, 8. It becomes 8, 11, 2022. So this is a expected date of delivery. Total duration of a pregnancy is 280 days. 40 weeks. Very simple to remember. 40 weeks. और एक वीक में कितने डेज होते हैं? 40 into 7, 280 days. Okay, this is a important point that you should be aware of. Now, what is the importance of this EDD or LMP? Number one, in dating of pregnancy, as we have just seen that we can calculate her EDD, and if she comes in midway between after 4 or 5 months, we can get the period of gestation, and accordingly we can give her the realistic advice and care, and we can go for investigation according to her gestational age. Number 2, complications. Few complications like preeclampsia is increased blood pressure after 20 weeks of gestation. A woman is coming at 16 weeks and her blood pressure is high. What does this mean? That she is not preeclampsia. She is a case of chronic hypertension. So in such cases, sometimes we need to induce labor before her EDD. In some cases, like in cases of severe preeclampsia, sometimes post-dated pregnancy we induce. But if the dates that we have calculated, they are wrong, so this induction will be wrong, and what we will be getting? We will be getting iatrogenic. That means human induced iatrogenic complications. Preterm iatrogenic complication of preterms we can get. So knowing LMP and EDD is very much important, not only in obstetrics, in other aspects also. Like if a woman, if a doctor wants X-ray, if you have to suggest X-ray to a woman, it has to be within 10 days of her LMP. If you get to know that she is her LMP was 15 days back, so you will not be exposing her to X-ray. Okay. Now next thing is complaints. In history taking, the thing is chief complaints. The most common mistake that the children do is they say chief complaint of amenorrhea. No, amenorrhea is not a complaint. You will be saying woman is coming with a history of dash months, whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, amenorrhea with chief complaints of whatever she says. If she says pedal edema, or if she says vomiting, or if she says pain in abdomen, or if she says burning micturition, whatever complaint she is coming with. But you will never say chief complaint of amenorrhea. No, a big no. You will be saying history of dash months amenorrhea with chief complaint of whatever complaint she is coming with. Okay. Even if a woman is coming with no complaint, just amenorrhea, okay, doctor, I am 5 months pregnant and this is my first visit. So what you will be asking, कोई परेशानी है, कोई दिक्कत है? वो कहती नहीं, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, I am absolutely fine. Still you have to ask some negative histories regarding how is her sleep, okay, whether she is able to sleep properly or not, whether she is able to eat properly or her appetite. Okay. Now, how are her bowel habits? Constipation is very commonly seen during pregnancy because of the progesterone effect. We will be learning in another class. Her bowel movements, whether she is able to pass stools easily. If not, then you will be giving her medication for that. And her urinary symptoms. Sometimes she has frequency due some period of gestation. Few urinary symptoms are very frequent and they are to be reassured about, and sometimes they are significant. So these 4 negative history you have to be asking, whether you are able to sleep properly or you are eating properly, your bowel and your urinary symptoms. Now, past medical history, it is similar to other history taking. Past medical history, you will be asking about whether any disease, medical disease she is suffering from, like heart disease or any blood transfusion she has undergone in past and what were the causes of that, or she is having seizure history or any allergies. Whatever past medical history you take in other subjects, it is the same thing. And then past surgical history, you will be taking past surgical history, like any surgery she has undergone in past, either it is general surgery or gynecological surgeries, like if she has undergone myomectomy or she has gone appendicectomy involving the opening of the abdominal cavity. So in such cases, if you are to be operating her in future, so you are supposed to come across some complications. You prepare your mind that yes, if I am opening this, there may be adhesions around, and in few conditions normal delivery is not allowed, like in myomectomy, where the uterine cavity, we have reached the endometrial cavity, we will not be allowing her to undergo normal delivery. So this past gynecological and surgical history is important. And then the family history as routine. Family history of hypertension or preeclampsia in mother or twin pregnancy in mother or maternal relatives. Okay. And TB, tuberculosis at present in any family member is important. Now personal history, it is the same. Smoking, alcohol, use of contraception is important, because after delivery you are going to advise about what are the contraceptive method you can use about. So these are the basics of obstetric history taking. History taking in obstetric. Number 1, vitals, her name, age, religion, address. Then obstetric history, her gravida, her parity, number of living children, and her abortion history. Now few terms I have already explained you, what are those. And duration of marriage is also important. What duration of marriage? Suppose she is coming at around 33 years or 36 years of age, and she says, I am primary gravida, and you ask, you are married since, she says 1 year, okay. And if she says I am married since 5-6 years, that these both things are different. This shows her fecundity. Her fecundity. If she is married just now and has become pregnant, she has high fecundity, high chances of getting pregnant. And if she is married since more than 1 year and she is pregnant like 3, 4, 5 years and now she is pregnant, then it is low fecundity. The women with low fecundity, they are not getting pregnant easily. So they are not getting pregnant. So this becomes, you have to be a little more careful. Okay. It's not that those who have high fecundity, they can be left off without any care. They do need care, but in some women of low fecundity, if they are pregnant, so you have to be more careful and you have to treat the case as high risk pregnancy. Now the next was her menstrual history, her LMP, her EDD, how to calculate EDD by Naegeli's formula, and then what is the importance of dating of pregnancy I have covered. Now chief complaint, never mention amenorrhea as chief complaint. It has to be mentioned as history only. History of this month's duration of amenorrhea with chief complaint of vomiting, of edema feet, or of headache, of urinary symptom, or anything, whatever you want to say, or bleeding from vaginum, whatever she comes with you. Even if she is not having any complaint, then you have to ask few questions regarding her normal day-to-day activities, then past medical history as routine, then surgical history and family history and personal history. So in next class I will be taking the examination. What are the things we need to examine in a obstetric history taking.